Good afternoon. Welcome to our new program, The Finish Line. I'm your host, Dean Cavaretta, and today we have a very special guest, a candidate for state representative here in Beverly. His name is Rick Marciano. Rick, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Rick, you're running in the 2014 general election as a Libertarian candidate. You've been involved locally here in Beverly in several different initiatives. You have a very unique background, military experience and otherwise. Tell us about yourself. What got you to run for state representative in 2014?
Well, military background, I first went in, I was a military police for 4 years. Then after that, I changed to intelligence analyst. And 4 years after that, I went Special Forces Engineer, Green Beret. So I have a lot of experience in many different areas. And in reference to what got me involved, it was in reference to Brimble Avenue. They were putting a plaza that was in there, and they wanted to swap the land and do a zoning change. And it was just completely out of the norm, besides the enormous amount of traffic that's already there. They wanted to build a connector road on an old landfill that was unregulated. And
you were involved in this locally in Beverly before, over the last several years, right?
Yes, different other issues they had. I was definitely involved.
Right, and your part of Beverly was impacted. What ward was that?
That was Ward 5 and 3, right in that area there, with reference to the Brimble Ave project.
So now, Rick, you're running for state representative. You've made the Brimble Ave project a priority. Looking back over the process, looking back at your involvement as a citizen of Beverly, as someone that cared deeply about the project, that you did not support the project initially. What is the lessons that you've learned from that, and how would you bring that project or the lessons learned from that project to Beacon Hill?
Well, immediately when the state rep, Jerry Paracella, he was made aware that this was taking place, he should have got with the neighborhood, and he should have formed like a community advisory committee.
Right. Very common that the Mass DOT does, citizen advisory committees.
Yes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they found out that the developer who worked for him was actually the firm that Jerry Paracella worked on. So they called him out and he had to resign. So not that they knew, that the reference to the land, what was going on there, but that was definitely incorrect what he did at that point there.
Right. So you want to go to Beacon Hill as a state representative. You'll be a Libertarian, which means that you will not caucus with the Democrats or Republicans. How do you feel that's an asset in this type of political environment?
Well, it's an asset because I'll work with both sides. I'll explain my view in reference to what bill or amendment that's coming up, and then I'll work with both sides. I think that'll work good.
Yeah.
We need to all work together.
Right.
Politics is not a sport, and unfortunately they're making politics into a sport. You have one side that wins, the other side loses, and they're left behind. It should not be like that. So we need to work as a whole, and that's what I'd like to see.
Right. Rick is running for Beverly. Beverly's the only city in the district. The official name is the 6th Essex District that people will see on their November 4th ballot. Rick, what's your website so people can get more information on you?
www.rickmarciano, RICKMARCIANO.US.
.us. Make sure .us for the viewers at home. All right, so Rick, let's start talking about some of the issues. I know fiscal issues, the idea that the state budget right now for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is $38 billion a year. A lot of those cost drivers are pensions. What's your view on pension retirement reform? Why do you think that's such an important issue?
Well, presently, in 2012, I talked about that the unfunded pension liability for the state was $24 billion. The last I've checked, as of this year, it's 28.3.
Yeah.
So it's gone up 4.3 million. So it's getting worse. They made a very small change to where you could retire at age, it was 55, they changed it to age 57 years old. Well, what I want to do, bring it in line with Social Security, which is age 65 to 67 now.
Right.
It's a 10-year difference if you look at that. Now you got to be aware that like police officers and firefighters, they're not going to physically be capable to do that. So what's going to have to take place is they'll have to find them like something in the office, like we did in the military. You know, when we were a little older and broken, the young guys were out in the field doing all that part, and we were in the operations working that side of the house.
So you would be part of reform efforts that don't punish anybody, that transition people, that also transition retirees from their current work into retirement. So you would envision a plan that doesn't negatively impact any current retiree.
Right. It won't touch them at all.
Right.
Same. It's just going to the new employees that are coming on board. That would take place. And the other thing I was looking at doing was not only was the age, I want to have the rate that they pay into the retirement system, I want it to fluctuate.
Right.
So if the markets they've invested, all of a sudden they're not doing as good as the assumption is not doing as good as it was supposed to do, that they'll have to pay more into the retirement fund to maintain it.
Right.
Right now it's so far behind.
So Rick, that gets me to my next question. Educate the voters of Beverly who will be watching this program, and we want to thank the BevCam staff for helping us out here today. Why is pension reform at the state level important? Why is pension reform at the local level important? Why should the voter care? And what do you have to say to them?
Well, we're going in the wrong direction. And if they don't change it, it's going to collapse. It's like
fiscally.
Fiscally, it will collapse. Right now, it's the state and the municipalities is about $146 billion overall if you add it up.
Unfunded liabilities that have to be paid in the future.
It's not unfunded. The total amount right now for retirees is $146 million. Now it's only covering $63 million is what they're taking in off the assumptions. That's to pay for that. So we're 43%. We're only funding it by 43% now.
Right.
So that's a huge problem.
So it's an unfunded, almost postponed price tag.
Yes.
Yeah.
43%.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question, Rick. State tax policy. Massachusetts has an income tax. Massachusetts has a sales tax. Massachusetts has different taxes and fees on small businesses and individuals. What's your overall view on taxes, and where do you want to take the state? How would you vote on taxes?
Well, until they can fix the unfunded pension liability, which I believe that's where most of the taxes are being used for when they're raising it right now, I'm not going to raise any taxes. You know, originally, go back quite a few years, the income tax went from 5% to 5.3%. Then that tax wasn't good enough, so a few years ago, the sales tax goes up 25%, from 5% to 6.25%. And still, that wasn't enough. So now when you go to register your car, you're going to pay 20% higher. When you go to inspect your vehicle, you're going to pay 20% higher. Still not enough. So what they go after? The fuel tax now.
Right.
So with the fuel tax, you know, when I did the math on that, it's 14% higher. And that's in accordance to what we're paying right now.
Right. So the fuel tax, just so voters know, on November 4th, there'll be ballot questions in addition to candidates such as Rick, and Beverly voters will have the opportunity to vote on a ballot question that raises the gas tax automatically. What's your position on the gas tax automatic increase? Question one.
Well, it's taxation without representation. That's kind of like, well, they don't have to vote on it now and everyone forgets it goes up automatically. I was in Venezuela back in 1996. And the inflation rate overnight went up 99%. So if I was originally supposed to get $500 back, U.S. currency, that next day I got $250 back. Well, if that happens here, how much are you going to pay for your gas right now? Yeah. Between federal and state tax for your gas and your diesel, you're paying 42.4 cents on every gallon. That's a huge chunk.
Yeah. Now, what do you feel about the argument that some people say that it's going to take away from transportation, or that somehow projects won't be funded?
Well, I look at, in reference to the roads, in other states, to maintain 1 mile of road, it costs $10,000. In Massachusetts, it costs $78,000.
Wow.
Completely broke.
Yeah.
So we need to look at what's working for other states, get in line with them. Don't reinvent the wheel. It's a waste of time.
Now, I know we've talked off camera about your opponent's committee assignments. If you know any of his, you can mention that. But I'm more interested in what committees you would like to be assigned. What issues that you want to go to work on for Beverly?
I would say Veterans Affairs. I think I can stand behind the veterans compared to what I've seen.
Yeah.
There was if you're not aware of it, there was a vote that came up that would actually give veterans priority over illegal aliens when it comes to public housing.
Right.
Jerry Paracella Beverly State Rep actually voted against that to keep it from going forward for the vote.
So just so we're clear, you would vote differently. You would vote in giving the veterans preferential slots or treatment for health care or housing.
Housing. It was specifically housing for illegal aliens, which is beyond belief how there's other citizens waiting to get housing right now on a waiting list.
Right.
Some are 1 or 2 years. How does somebody that's an illegal alien even get in our public housing in the first place?
Never mention go to the front of the line as some of those reps that voted the other way want.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You are a veteran. You've served our country honorably. We thank you for your service. Homeland security issues, public safety are always issues that impact the North Shore and Beverly. What do you want to bring to the table there? How do you see your role as a state representative in those areas?
I think a key area is they know what they're doing right now. They have the intelligence. But we need all the departments to work together as a whole. Communication has to travel between each other. I think that's what's missing right now. So if we can somehow organize all of them together with the intelligence that's coming in, we'll be able to react to what's going to take place. But that's been a few problems we've been having. The intelligence hasn't come in time, or it may have been ignored. So we may need even hire better individuals that actually are qualified to do the job in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have some individuals, from what I understand, that they're in positions that they're not really qualified for.
Right.
So that'll be a priority also.
Yeah, okay. Now, I know in your race you're going against the incumbent office holder. Have there been any public debates? Are you seeking debates? What's the status on that?
Well, I asked him a few days ago, hey, Jerry, you know, we having a debate? And he just, then he didn't answer me. The second time, Jerry, is there a debate? He just put his hands in the air.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course, we'd certainly welcome our forum here if we could get into studio and have both candidates of equal time, but we certainly wait to hear from him on that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's move to education. Beverly's school budget, like most school districts in the Commonwealth, ends up being 2/3 of all revenue that comes into our municipalities, thereabouts. What do you feel the priorities on education are for Beverly? In particular, this new Common Core initiative, which is a departure from MCAS, an ed reform that started here locally. Are you in favor of Common Core?
I'm not in favor of it at all. They have a national test in Massachusetts. It's every other year. We've been number one in the state. Why are we going to take someone else's standards that are less rigorous, Common Core, and lower our standards to go to Common Core? The other thing that was just so secret, this took place in 2010. I can't really blame the school committee or some of the elected officials because nobody knows what's going on with it.
Yeah.
And we're learning 4 years later, it should have been broken down in the beginning. All it is an experiment, is all it is. And why do we have to lower our standards in this state to go along with something that they're experimenting with?
Right, so your message to the Beverly local officials is to get more information, get answers, and see what's best for the Beverly schools and the kids.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you feel about the Beverly schools? Where do you see priorities? What do you hear from voters? I know we've spoken about special education. There's certainly other cost drivers with schools. Common Core does have an unfunded mandate component. If you're asking students to take new exams, that comes with a price tag. What do you want to do on education in some of those areas? Well,
of course, they're the experts. I want to, who's running it right now. I listen to them first and then listen to what the public's saying. For me right now, if we're going to talk, we haven't talked about it yet, but in reference to jobs, we need something to do with trade. We have a trade school. This fiscal year, we're sending 87 students. Years ago, Beverly High School, that was once part of this, we had 275 students. How do we go to only 87 students go to the trade?
Yeah.
Right now, we have jobs in this state that are available, but we don't have individuals that have the technology or to go in there and work those jobs.
Yeah. Vocational training, job retraining, our school-to-career programs, very important. It sounds to me like you'd be very proactive in those areas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If we could bring nursing to the high school, have a classroom specifically set up for that. Culinary arts. Put a few stoves in, which we may have already. We need to look at something like that because not every student is going to be going to college.
Right.
What do they have when they graduate right now? Tough to get a job, and jobs are paying a lot less.
Right. You mentioned jobs. We are on the North Shore. We're in Beverly. We're part of the high-tech corridor here on 128. I know we spoke off-camera about the 2013 tech tax. What was that? What was the result? And tell the voters what you learned about that issue that almost went into effect in 2013.
Well, it was a tax basically on technology. There was going to be a tax on that. It may have been if you were going to put out, they have certain programs you can download off the computer. On average, it cost 99 cents. Now, with the tech tax, it was going to cost $1.06 to $1.07. Well, the average person may look at that and say, wait a minute, I'm going to go for the 99 cents, so the state's going to lose business right there. Some of the other technology businesses, they have to bring in auditors to double check the taxes because the way the law is written, it is so complicated, like most of them. So that was a problem there too.
Now you've heard from Beverly businesses that they were going to have to bring in compliance positions to comply with the new tax. We should note to Beverly voters that it was ultimately postponed or scrapped by the legislature and governor, but that was only after a huge outcry and many, many phone calls. What was the lesson learned from that whole process?
Well, I would say read the bill. And if you can't read all the bills, listen to the citizens.
Right.
Because the citizens were also coming out saying, hey, this is going to hurt us, because they were advised also. They just completely ignored them, and then the minute they passed it, and then it's like, wait a minute, they had to go back. They wasted a lot of time when they never should have done it in the first place.
Yeah. So Rick, let me ask you this. This is kind of a unique year in American politics and state politics. Massachusetts has weathered the Great Recession a little bit better than other states, but there are many, many problems out there in Beverly, on the North Shore. What are you hearing from voters as you go door to door? What makes this a different year, and why do you think people might look for a new face such as yourself?
Well, part of it, I believe, is the taxes that are taking place right now.
The burden of the tax.
Yes, the burdens. You know, not only that, it's the property tax. You know, if you have a fixed income and your taxes go up, you can't keep up with it. You're getting further and further behind. So you elect a politician and you trust them, hey, they're going to take care of me, I can live my life, work, do the best I can, but they're not doing that. They're taking care of themselves. They got great benefits when they retire. They got great medical. The taxpayers, the one that are giving all this to them for public services, you know, I don't want to use the word robbed, but the money is going someplace. There's no transparency. You know, we should know that. And a lot of citizens, they are getting upset.
Right. I should say to our viewers at home, you're watching The Finish Line, a new public affairs program here at Beverly BevCam, where we have Rick Marciano in studio, a Libertarian candidate for state representative in the 6th Essex District. And Rick, so we've talked about jobs, we've talked about the challenges up on Beacon Hill. Talk to the voters about the cost of living, energy. I know we've talked about that before. What do you feel the next state rep can do on energy, the cost of energy, issues such as that?
Well, as a lot of citizens know, it just went up 37%, and it was just overnight. You know, that should have been brought up, talked about, analyzed, but it wasn't. Yeah. It just happened just like that, and that's not how the system should actually work. So they're saying what happened with the power plant going down in Salem. I don't know what that has to do with anything, how that made it go up 30%. Right. But that was one of the reasons. Yeah. You know, but there's no excuse to put that burden on the citizens right away with everything, you know, everything else they're trying to meet right now. Yeah. Taxes, fuel tax.
That's certainly very important. Senior issues, senior citizen issues. Many state reps talk to our seniors on a regular basis. They're very visible. Usually the state reps is the first person they call when they have an issue. How do you plan to approach that? Are you going to have office hours with them, or what's your approach to senior issues?
Well, I'll definitely have office hours. Yeah. Then I can go visit each housing area, you know, where they have the seniors. You know, we have a large amount of affordable housing in the city of Beverly, and we actually need more because as our population age continuously increases, it's very important to create, you know, more affordable housing for seniors.
Right. How has your experience been running against the machine? Democratic incumbents are the majority in our state in Beacon Hill. Make the case to the voters as to why competition is a good thing. Why should they go in a new direction as opposed to, say, going with something that might be more familiar?
Well, when you make a vote not to give veterans a priority over illegal aliens, that's one of the reasons that you're going to run against them, because you need to send a message. Hey, we're tired of what's going on. We love our party, and we're gonna put you in office, but do the right thing, not something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think the message-wise, I'll be there to do it the right way. So that's what I say.
Yeah. Now, in your race, you've called for debates. That hasn't occurred. What has been effective places to campaign in Beverly? Where do you plan to campaign in the weeks left in this short campaign?
Well, I have more flyers to put out, and have other individuals help me. This whole week of rain has hurt quite a bit of it.
Right.
But the word's getting out. I'm getting, talking to the citizens, and they say, we like that you're out here, you're doing this, because we're getting face to face, and we get to voice our opinions and say everything. Yeah. So, overall, it's going great. They ask, what party are you? And I say Libertarian. I said, oh, good. So that I haven't had one individual come out and say anything negative about a Libertarian.
You're a new alternative, a fresh face.
Right.
Yeah. We've been talking with Rick Marciano, Libertarian candidate for state representative here in Beverly. His committee to elect Rick Marciano is at 141 McKay Street here in Beverly, 01915. The number to contact Rick's campaign is 978-327-8126. Rick's website, you want to tell the viewers your website?
Website is Rick. It's Facebook, Rick Marciano for state representative of the 6th Essex District.
All right, great. And your website is rickmarciano.us.
Yes.
Okay. So, Rick, in the minute we have left, we figured we'd have you talk into the camera, say closing remarks to the Beverly voters, and just kind of give them your last pitch for their vote.
Yes. Is it time to send a message that we're tired of everything that's going on with the taxes being raised and not taking care of the citizens? Well, if you think it's time, send that message and vote for me. I've explained the unfunded pension liability. There's not enough coming in off the assumptions, what they have invested, to pay for the retirees. That doesn't take place. What do? Raise the income tax. After that, as I stated before, they raise the sales tax. Still not enough. Then they go after the registration fee tax and your vehicle inspection tax. Not enough to pay for the unfunded pension liability. Boom. Now they're going after the gasoline tax is what they're going after. Now, what's the next tax they're going after? I'm going to vote against the next tax. Like I said, we've got to take care of the unfunded pension liability, and that money needs to work for the citizens. So I want transparency and accountability. That's what's lacking there. If we don't have transparency, we can never have accountability.
You've been listening to Rick Marciano, 2014 Libertarian candidate for state representative here in Beverly. We want to thank the BevCam staff for their help, Tim Hezzy on camera, Michael Gendre, director, cameraman, and thanks to the staff here at BevCam. My name is Dean Cavaretta, and this program is The Finish Line. Thank you very much.